Hello to everyone tuning in. My name is Jill Berkowitz. I'm the community manager at Clerk Chat and also the host of 160 Characters podcast. Today, joining me, we have Revathi Pillai. Hi, Revathi.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jill.
It's so good to see you today and have you as our guest on the podcast. For everyone listening in addition to being a busy mom, Revathi is currently the Senior Vice President and Chief Engineering Officer at Mutualink, which is an automated emergency response system. We'll chat about that and your previous career experiences, but let's rewind quite a bit. You and I connected a couple weeks ago. I loved our chat. And ever since, there's been a very specific part of that chat that really, really has stuck with me since. I know as a college student studying electrical engineering in India, you were surrounded by many females. However, later, when you came to the United States and you enrolled in a graduate program here, you were the only female or maybe part of a very small percentage. What was that like?
It was okay. It was no issues, but it's a surprise to me because when I'm coming from India, it's from southernmost part of India. When I came, out of 50 students in the class, it was 24 were women, and that to electrical engineering, one of the core engineering programs. And when I came here, I expected to see much more diversity, much more women inclusive. So all of a sudden I saw that you can count people in your one hand, and the women that's there. But other than that, other than my surprise, there was no issues or anything like that. It went very well. The professors they never looked at you're a woman or a man. They just taught the courses as they did, and we learned. But as a culture-wise, I was shocked, why there is more women, more girls interested in engineering and not coming forward to learn that, because they are very intelligent, but somehow not very forthcoming to get into engineering programs.
I almost wonder if universities and schools could do more to encourage some more gender diversity in, I'm going to say STEM or STEAM fields, to encourage females to go into programs which maybe traditionally in the past were more male dominated.
Even when I was doing my master's, when I saw that there was very few girls, I made a attempt actually to bring in more women professionals from NASA and different parts to come into university, and brought in middle school level girls to listen to them, to see, okay, there are women in these fields and you can be one of them. And hearing from them was very encouraging for the middle school level girls. So I think, as you said, universities or all institutions can help by going into schools very early and giving them exposure to, okay, what does engineering mean, and what are the different careers there, and bring in women engineers or women scientists to bring in and show them there are a lot of women who is in that field. It's not hard. It's not a issue to get in. Yeah.
And actually, the reverse goes for men as well. For some men, they feel there are some roles that have in the past been traditionally female. But I know you and I spoke about this very briefly. I know that at a young age, we're all taught you could be anything, you could dream of anything. But I don't know that we're all taught what anything actually means and what the opportunities are. So as you mentioned, I think maybe at a young age, kids need some more exposure to what opportunities are out there. And for that to continue as they get older, upper elementary, middle school, and so on. This is a really good segue to talk about another podcast that you were recently on. I listened to the episode. I've listened to some other episode. The podcast is called From a Woman to a Leader. You were the guest. You said, I'm going to read a quote of yours. I had to write it down because it was so touching to me. And I might have botched it a little bit, but the idea is there. My perception about life and what we can do is all shaped by my grandfather and my parents going against the norm. That is who they are, and that is what I saw when I grew up. And maybe that's made me stronger and to be able to do things in a different way. When I heard you say this, and again, as I'm reading it now, and when I wrote it down to prepare for today's recording, I really got some chills. So could you share a bit more about the values instilled in you by your family and maybe an example of a time you did go against the grain because of your influences growing up?
Sure. As I mentioned in that podcast, my grandfather and my parents, they went against the norm in their own way in different times in their life. And which was not very popular at that time. But that's what they thought that's right. And they went ahead and did that. One of the things was my grandfather from a very well-to-do family gave up everything and went to fight for India's freedom and ended up in prison and things like that. But he thought that's right and he did it. And my parents also did something of they're on, not the normal path in their life. And in my case, that's what I saw. And I know that they all actually, after some time, became right, that whatever they did. So it is not what I realized that what is right now today, or not right today may not be the same way after some time. So it is, nothing is not a permanent thing. Everything is time oriented. So what they told me is, okay, think for yourself and find your own right.
Listen to yourself, find your own right. Yes. That is such great advice to give to others who want to challenge norms or expectations or maybe break into, a field that maybe they don't, in their head, they don't think that they're right for. I think the advice to find your own right. Yeah. What's right for you might not be right for somebody else.
In my case, when I graduated and started my first job, I was 7 months pregnant. So a lot of advice was saying that, you're 7 months pregnant, don't start working, it will be difficult. For me, it never even occurred that way. No, I graduated, I'm going to start working. And there are companies who wants to hire me and accommodate all my requests for flexibility and all. So I went ahead with that. And when the baby was born, I was again saying that, you should take time off. You should not be working. You should take a couple of years off and things like that. And there are people who make you even feel very guilty, if not. And so it was a tough time for me to really think through what's right, what's not right. And that's the time I know actually these all advices and what I saw in their life really came to help me, to come to my decision. I continue working so that kind of tough decisions in life when everybody is telling you something else, but really finding my right.
So as part of your professional experiences, you recently had the opportunity to be a judge at the Massachusetts Science and Engineering Fair, which, a fun fact, it was in its 75th year. Yes. I know you've done it before. Do you judge this fair yearly, annually? Yes. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Yeah. I went to the website to do a little research on the experience. I know when I was younger, I did a couple of science fairs, but it sounds like this is on a whole different level. Oh, yeah. I love that this opportunity inspires young minds to ask tough questions and problem solve and research and innovate. I'd love to know, and I don't know how much you're allowed to share since you were a judge, but was there a project or two that stopped you in your tracks when I don't know if you walk through and you get to see everything, but did you happen to notice anything that you just couldn't help but take notice of?
It's every year when I go there, I get inspired, and I'm at an awe of some of the times when they talk to these kids, right? They have the poise, they have the understanding, they have the passion, everything right for this. So it's like you think that, okay, when you see one, okay, this is great. When you go to the next one, it's like amazing. So it's especially when you're talking about Massachusetts finals, they are all the top from wherever they're coming from. So the level is amazing. And yeah, as you said, I don't know whether I can talk specifically about things, but one of the things this time that one of the persons I judged was, it's another thing which I'm noticing for the last 5-6 years is that maybe COVID did it. Now I'm seeing a lot of individual projects than group. Maybe
Oh,
because of
interesting.
the COVID time, there's a lot of individual projects coming. Other one is they have all the information available on their fingertips, right? So it's easy for them. So you can see the depth of what they're looking at. I could see that over the years it's changing. It's amazing what they know.
I'm kind of curious. I don't even know that you know the answer to this, but what the ratio is of students who go into this pulling things from basics versus students who are going with like very current technologies.
Actually, it is an equal divide maybe, because I saw so many projects with AI and new biotechnology things and all there. So I don't know the ratio.
Yeah.
But everything is well represented there.
So now that we're pretty caught up to speed, let's talk about your current role at Mutualink.
Yeah.
You're an industry leader, but can you tell us a bit more about your role and how you balance your technical expertise, but also your leadership responsibilities?
Sure. Yeah, I have a very broad role there that spans with the software development, which is a server development, application development, and all the web and different apps, and quality assurance and infrastructure, DevOps, and security, corporate IT. So it spreads a wide spectrum. So as one person, I cannot go in deep in any of them, but as a person I was very fortunate to work in so many different areas throughout my career. So I have a overall picture and basically a vision how it should be done. So hiring the right people to lead each department and making sure that all of them understand what I'm looking for. And so I usually have meetings with my leaders, my architects together, and give them my view. Okay, this is where we want to go. Then they own it. They will go and figure it out. And then we will discuss the architecture, the design, pros and cons. So that's how we move. So my technical leadership comes from my broad experience, understanding what is coming up new and how it all works together. And so then they take it to their each segment to the depth and come back with. So that's how I do balance those two.
You really have to put a lot of trust into your teams. But I guess if you backtrack and you spend that time in hiring who you think is right for each department or each sector, it makes it a little bit easier. What advice would you give to emerging leaders, especially women, who want to aim to achieve leadership roles in the tech industry?
That I can tell you how I did it. Mm-hmm. And as you said, hiring the right people, hiring people who has a real expertise. Don't be scared that they are more qualified than you, or they have more knowledge than you, don't be scared, because you are only as good as your team. You need the best team possible to succeed. Succeed for the company, succeed for you, and succeed for your team. So for that, you need the right team. Hire bravely.
I really appreciate your vision of leadership too. Given your experience, I'm curious what trends or developments in technology are very exciting to you right now. Maybe even a hot topic that was discussed at Women Impact Tech, where you were recently a panelist for the topic disruptive innovation. You could pull something from that if you'd like. It's up to you.
In that one, we are talking about what are the new technologies coming up. This is one of a very exciting time that we are living in. Innovation is happening in almost every field you can think of. AI, you can imagine how it is going to change our life big time. The same thing, a lot of new innovation is happening in even thinking about the blockchain. If you think about biotechnology, the medicine, personalized medicine, all those things. So if you look at every area, IoT is going to change big time with 6G and 5G happening, connecting everything together, and augmented reality, and even green tech revolution. So it's so many areas innovation is happening. So basically looking at innovation can be disruptive, but it could be disruptive with the combination of where they intersect. That's where the disruption happens. And what I think is any company or any leader who is willing to embrace change, willing to learn new things, and trying to implement, the ethics and everything is going to be evolved when a new technology comes in, to be receptive of that and stand in front of it will be the right way to ride this wave. So if you look at what is one thing, it's not one thing, it's the whole atmosphere right now that is happening with innovation. It's an amazing thing to be part of and witness how things are changing.
And that's how you started your response just now. You said this is a really exciting time. And I know I've spoken to some people just in general that find some of the innovations really intimidating because it feels like there's a lot happening at once. But I think if we look at it as intimidating, it's going to hold us all back. The innovations are happening. They're here. We're in the midst of it, so we may as well learn about it, embrace it, find out what types of technologies are relevant to us. Maybe not everything is, and that's okay. How can we use it for good? How can it help us? Maybe what technologies do still need to be improved. I think it's a mindset around tech and the innovation and disruption that is a big deal. And I think the concept of excitement and embracing it is much better than a feeling of intimidation.
You should embrace it because that's how the world is going to be. And to be part of it, you need to ride that wave.
Ride the wave. I'm going to ride the wave. I mean, look at me as an example. I walked into the tech world 2 years ago.
Oh.
And a lot has changed in the tech world in the 2 years I've been here already. So I can only imagine for people who have been in it for so much longer, it really truly feels like a wave.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely. Especially if you look at last 20 years, it's a very different world we live in right now. Technologically. Yeah.
I know. I was even saying that I feel like my children are growing up in a very different world than I grew up in. And also, yes, I grew up in a very different world than my parents grew up in because of technology too. So it's comparable. But I think the type of technology now is just, and the access is very different than what I had as a child. So it's interesting to see that change through my own kids' eyes, actually, as a parent.
Yes.
From my perspective, you're thriving. But I think in addition to career success and tech leadership, one of the reasons you're thriving is because you've learned your boundaries. You know your own personal expectations. You know your priorities. You give 150% to family. You give 150% to career. I know that adds up to 300%, but the point is that you give a lot of your time to both family and career. You advocate for yourself. You've co-founded a hair oil company with your daughters. So what has been the most rewarding part of building this company?
Yeah, so I started this company with my two daughters. They are my partners. It's an amazing thing I see mentioned that just previously, seeing world through your kids' eyes, how that's what I'm seeing with us, like how they see the market, how they see the world, everything what I know, it's a little different than what they do. And learning that through them. And even when we thought of marketing this oil, which I have for a while, even coming up with a name, they decided that it has to be rooted in our culture. Because we are from India, although they are born and brought up here, that's how the name Vishwas is. It's a Sanskrit word. Samarth is a Sanskrit word. Bringing that, they are the one who is insisting, this is what we should be rooting in. So seeing that their conviction, their pride in their heritage and things like that is very satisfying.
I think you also have instilled that in them the same way maybe your grandfather and your parents instilled values in you.
I would love to think so, yes. It's something right.
Yes. I mean, to me, that's how it sounds. And I know as a parent, I would want that feeling too. So I love seeing that you get to work with your daughters. I think it's an amazing venture, even though it's totally different than tech and what you're doing, at your 9 to 5 or day job, however we want to phrase it. I think it's just as equally as important an experience.
And another thing is we want this to be 100% women owned and women operated. And even to scale, we want to use that theme. That's what our plan is, our business plan.
I love it. I can't wait to keep up and hear how it's going. I really appreciate you sharing your journey and insights with us today. But before we wrap up, I have a last question, kind of forward thinking. What excites you the most about the future of technology and leadership? Do you have any final thoughts or maybe some predictions or advice you'd like to leave us and our listeners with today?
No, I think that going through all this, science fairs and all, I know their future is bright and very passionate about what comes next. And the technologies are changing. And I'm sure we have the right generation coming up to embrace it and take it to the next level. I don't have any doubt about it. I'm so blessed to see that part of our next generation going through all these programs, actually, to see that. And as we mentioned before, embrace the change. Be ready because change is the only constant in your life, right? Whatever it is, whether in technology or in life, you need to embrace it and understand it, learn it, understand the ethics and all those side of everything, and go with it. And I don't know which technology is going to make a huge impact, but all of them have the potential, and the combination of things will have the potential to completely change how we live. In the next 10 years, we'll be talking something very different things.
It's true. The combination of technologies or how technologies intersect. And then my other thought here was something I have learned, over the last 5 years or so is that you can't be afraid of change. Change comes in so many forms, but it's just simply a part of our life.
Yeah.
And we really have to roll with it and embrace it and learn to live with change because it happens, whether it's personal change, professional change, world change, things change. So I'm learning that concept.
That's only constant in life, change.
Yeah, it is. If someone wants to get a hold of you or reach out, what would you suggest is the best way? I know you have a LinkedIn account. Would you like people to check in with you there?
That will be the easiest way to get hold of me. LinkedIn, and you might be even have a link there. You can check for Revathi Pillai.
Yep, I'm going to add it to the show notes so someone can just click on it and off they go.
Yeah. Anytime, any question, anything that I spoke about, you want to know more, please reach out. And Jill, I really thank you for taking time to talk with me. And I would like to thank all your audience for tuning in and listening.
Thank you so much. This has been so special for me and such a pleasure and an honor. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day and week and month to chat with me and for our audience to be able to hear our conversation.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.